Yummy. Yummy.
Common Good TV show. The Common Good TV show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McLean. Tucson's favorite family show. The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McLean. Tucson's favorite family show.
All right, welcome back to the Common Good Radio Show. I'm your host this week, Ron Arenas, with my co-host, Alyssa.
Hello, hello. Good to be here.
And welcome back. Our next guest is Celica Webb with Always Faithful Home Inspections.
That's right, Ron. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do.
I do home inspections all over southern Arizona, from Ajo to Douglas, Nogales to Casa Grande, and in the next probably 6 months or so, I'm going to be opening up the Phoenix market as well.
Really?
Wow.
Wow, that's
Really
a lot of
excited.
traveling.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm just opening up a ranch there.
Okay.
But my son lives up there now, so as I visit, I could potentially
Okay.
do that too as well.
Wow. How big is your team?
Right now, I have 2 other guys, and I'm in the market for another one.
Okay.
But up
perfect.
there, I have one guy for sure, and another one that's starting the schooling, and we're setting up a job search for a third one.
Wow. Okay. Busy.
Yes.
So what kind of schooling or certifications does it take to be a home inspector?
Yes, we need to have at least 84 hours. There are other programs that are 120. Some are online, some are in person, some are combined. We always do take continuing education.
Okay.
But that's the minimum that we need to have. Obviously, some experience in the trades or construction is always good, but it's not necessary because we learn everything from scratch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then, of course, we have to do our field training. We have to do, in Arizona, 30 parallel supervised inspections with somebody who has been doing it for at least 3 years.
Oh.
And then we apply for the Board of Technical Registration. They review our document. I'm losing the words. Our report.
Yeah.
And then they let us know if we are licensed.
Okay.
Wow.
And what led you into this field?
Yes, I grew up, I'm the oldest of 4 in Mexico, and my dad is very handy.
Okay.
So I always worked in his workshop. He's actually an anesthesiologist, but he was a carpenter as well, and a little bit of a mechanic, and he was always fixing things around the house, and I didn't just hold the light. He expected me to work alongside him. So
Okay.
I
So
learned
he taught you as he was working.
a lot of stuff he did teach me, and then other things I learned by myself by calling him on the phone for help.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Good old dad.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just do video call or something.
Yeah.
And then I started flipping houses back in 2015, so I learned from some of the contractors as well, and I already knew how to do a lot of it. So when I was offered the opportunity to become an inspector, it was really, really cool to see the other side of the business, really.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've explained how much qualifications you need to be a home inspector and all the things that you need to go through to become well educated in the field. However, when we think of buying a home, maybe the first person that comes to mind is a real estate agent. A home inspector seems to be a very overlooked portion to the equation. So can you explain to maybe potential first-time home buyers why it is so important to get a good home inspector?
Absolutely. The way it used to be when I started back in 2020 was the realtor just booked us. But now they're supposed to give us give the client 2 to 3 options, and then the client does their due diligence, their research, and then they decide who they go with. But it is so important to have the home inspection because there are things that the buyer is not going to do, the agent is not going to do. Like, get up in the attic when it's 140 degrees in there, get under the house with all the debris that we find in there, or sometimes animals. So if you
Yep.
don't know what's in the house, you're going to be in for a big surprise. But yeah, it's amazing to me. It's funny also a little bit how when a transaction gets finished, the realtor that I have worked with, they're like, so thankful for title, so thankful for the lender, so thankful for my buyers. And we're never mentioned. Really? Come on. I was able to tell you whether there were problems with the house, but
Wow.
you don't want to skip it. Amazingly, since the regulations passed for the realtors, I have been doing a lot of for sale by owners. And
Oh.
even though they live in the home, they don't know everything, and or they are able to tell me some things, but they don't know everything that's at the home that they have. So please do get a realtor if you're buying the home that you're renting, because they will be able to negotiate with you. I have done some FSBOs for sale by owners that they ask me, so are you going to send it to the seller? Are you going to send it to the lender? Like, no, not really. You can do that. Well, can you tell us if it's worth the price that they're selling us for? Not really. That's really not out of my lane.
Right. Yeah.
So I do recommend that you get an agent to go to bat for you, because even if you don't, at least get the inspection, because even if you live there and you know what's going on, there are some safety items that you will want to hear about that I can
Wow.
tell you about.
And
Right.
just to paint a good picture, just for a second, because I know we want to talk about winterizing houses, but can you tell us what's the worst thing you've ever seen in a house that you were inspecting that maybe the buyer or the seller like just did not notice? Just to paint a picture.
The worst thing, that is hard to tell, because I have done homes that are brand new,
Yeah.
and I do 1-year warranties all the time. But I have also done homes that for people that want to live in the home while they flip it, but there's no wiring. It's like, well,
Oh.
you can't live here and flip it while there's no power and it's the winter, and that could be a problem.
Right.
I have found a lot of mold in some places where there were no signs for it. This
Yeah.
was
Wow.
from an agent that always asks me to do the mold report. Record high. There was a leak behind the shower that went into the first story, and it was not visible.
Oh,
wow, no one would have
okay.
ever seen it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
it's really, really scary. And then I have found some mold as well where the people buying it, the mom had cancer, and people with immune problems would be more affected that people under normal circumstances would never.
Right.
Wow.
And you mentioned something really important, and that's new construction. Even though it's a brand new from the ground up, you still want an inspection.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's things that, unfortunately, things get missed. Maybe corners get cut.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and you need an inspector to go through there and make sure that everything is actually the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Even
Wow.
if the city passes, sometimes I have seen things. I get on the patio roof, and there was one where I found a bucket of paint. The lid was under the tiles. Like, how
Oh.
do you miss this?
How do you do that?
Right.
Right.
Wow. So we've talked a lot about solving problems or finding problems. Let's talk about prevention. Tell me why winterizing houses in hot as Hades, Arizona is still very important.
Yes, I remember a couple years ago when it snowed in Tucson,
Yeah.
especially on the east side. I got called to a home. The guy asked me, Celia, I flipped this home, and the day before we closed, the buyers came in, and it was raining inside the house. I'm like,
Oh.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
So it was the day that it snowed,
Yeah.
and he was ready to turn off the utilities or whatever. He didn't leave the heat on, and the pipes froze
Oh.
in the
wow.
attic,
And they burst.
It burst.
Oh gosh.
And then he turned the heat on to dry it up, but he didn't open the windows, so there was a ton of mold.
Oh,
So he
goodness.
had to repipe. He had to put people in hotels because they were moving out of their apartment. He had to remediate the mold,
Yeah.
change carpets and all. And the kitchen was wet. It was a whole mess. So I recommend people, if you're leaving for the winter, if you go on vacation, just keep your heat on. I know some families that don't turn it on because they want to save, and we don't get that cold. I'm always running warm. Yes, but your pipes don't know that you're warm,
Yeah.
and they need to, be winterized. They need to stay warm for so that you don't get your pipes bursting.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And even if you kept it at 60 degrees,
It's still
that'd be
better
fine.
than nothing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If it's, say, a really cold winter and it's 25 degrees outside,
Yeah.
you know, 60 degrees is going to keep your house pretty much safe and warm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, now that we've thoroughly scared people as the potential underlying problems their house may have, that's not visible.
And we're talking about it while it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, right.
How can people get a hold of you?
Yes, my website is alwaysfaithfulhomeinspection.com. I'm also on Facebook under the same name, and you can always friend me, Celia Webb, on Facebook as well. My phone number, my business number is there. You can book an inspection right there. I do recommend that if you book ancillary services, you go to the second drop-down menu because we do pool, termite, mold, and sewer scope.
Okay.
But sometimes we also do the sewer scopes as a standalone service, and they're more expensive if we don't do them at the time of the inspection. There's a discount
Right.
with that.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
You have an extra trip to go out there. So if you do it at the same time, you're going to get a discount.
Correct.
Oh, perfect.
Very good. Can you mention one more time how to get a hold of you?
Alwaysfaithfulhomeinspection.com, and our business number is 520-349-5641.
Very good. Thank you for coming on again.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ron.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I'm going to go home and winterize my pipes.
I think
the
you'll
heat
be
on.
okay, at least for this weekend.
Right, yeah.
Oh,
Right?
but next week's a different story.
It is. It's starting to cool down in Tucson.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
We can hope.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to wear pants this week, and it's still hot.
All right. That's the Common Good Radio Show. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Common Good TV show. The Common Good TV show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McLean, Tucson's favorite family show.